Hey, good afternoon, world. Good afternoon, TKNN. This is live. This is an impromptu video, just designed to speak candidly with you know, with the female audience, the woman. I am, if you haven't already known by now, my name is Navia, and I am the disagreeable. Okay, and unfortunately, my husband, Yair L., the agreeable, will not be joining me today. He was in a small unfortunate accident where he was trying to make his signature dish a flambe, and it got a little bit too hot, and the flames went up in his face and burnt off all of his facial hair. He is now being treated at Wake County for second-degree burns, and we're going to just send our hearts and prayers out to him for a very speedy recovery. Okay, but until then, now you have to deal with me. We love you, Yair. Your hearts are our prayers. Our prayers are with you. Okay. I want to talk today, sister to sister moment. Okay, every woman is every woman, and the reason why I believe that this is important is because we have got to stop judging one another, and we've got to stop competing with one another. I have said a million times, there is no cookie cutter woman. We all have special gifts, special talents, different purposes in this life. We think differently. You know, we are just not all designed to function the same way. And somebody's priorities might not be someone else's priorities. And it's okay, because it's very important that you know yourself before engaging on any type of relationships, you know, or any type of life path. You have to get fine-tuned with yourself. Now, the reason why I decided to bring this video up is because there have been a lot of videos that's been circulating around Facebook and YouTube, and basically it's women trying to teach other women what it takes to get a man or how to keep a man. And these videos are being pushed by men, you know, by the way, because it is something that appeals to them, you know, some of them, not all of them, but some of them. And what I have noticed is you know, even though we women want to be encouraging to other women, you know, we want to be examples to other women, we also have to understand that there's no right or wrong way to do that. And the way that we do it should not be designed to tear down another woman. Okay. There was a phrase that was coined called the pick-me's. I don't know where it originated from, but I see it all over Facebook, and I find this term pretty appropriate. And basically, the pick-me's are the people who go out and do these videos saying things to promote that they're much better women than you are, because they do certain things that you don't do. Okay, the pick-me's will do videos like, you know, I've had one that even in her video said that, you know, I'm not taking anything from the women. We've made great strides with MBAs and PhDs, but I realized that don't impress men much. That don't impress men much. And she did this video from her kitchen, okay? And she was trying to tell women that their accomplishments isn't really as important to men as it is, you know, being domesticated, you know, to make a long story short. Now, there's a few things that's wrong with this video. Number one, the video was promoted after another video where I guess apparently she was appealing to the nature of men and got this wonderful feedback and was like, oh, judging by the feedback, I got to do this more often because these men are saying that I'm coming across softer and more like a woman. What does more like a woman mean? Okay, because if you're saying that because you're in the kitchen, you know, and you can make a wonderful souffle or bake a pie, that you're more of a woman than the woman that's out there conducting business or in politics or has these PhDs and MBAs. And I also would like to say that I don't know in what world some of us are living in, but women with MBAs and PhDs are very impressive to a certain type of man. Now, it might not be impressive to the man that's sitting around watching and judging YouTube videos all day or live stream videos all day, but to certain accomplished men who are looking for accomplished women, that is a positive characteristic. And this is why it's always important to try to stay in your own lane and not try to give out advice to everyone. The next thing that I wanted to point out is we have got to get out of this thinking that every woman that accomplished something, you know, or gets their MBAs, their PhDs, or become very successful is doing that to impress a man. Chances are, if they have put their careers first, it's because they're not ready for a man. It's because they are career focused, because they want to accomplish something for themselves. And it has absolutely zero to do with trying to impress a man. So to even have that frame of thought that your whole identity is tied up in trying to impress a man is off. Okay, nobody's doing, these women ain't spending years and years in school and trades and traveling so that they can be, you know, so they can impress a man. That's not what women do. Women do these things because they're career oriented and they want certain things for themselves, or they recognize the wonderful potential that they have. And maybe the family life is not a priority for them at this moment. And perhaps we should stop judging other people by their priorities that might not meet yours. It is very possible to uplift one another without trying to make yourself look better. Not trying to make yourself feel like you are the ultimate example of a woman or a wife, because there are many. There are many. There are women who are happily married that can't even cook. That can't even cook, and their husbands are fine with it. You know, there's middle and upper class families that hire a chef. Do you see what I'm saying? All priorities does not belong to everyone in what makes a union. Okay. Some people are very, very domesticated and family oriented, and they're nurturers by nature. And that's why they're good at it, because that's something, you know, that they wanted to do. Maybe they put their lives, or their priority is being good wives first. And maybe when they were young, you know, all they always wanted to do was to have a family. And maybe in their mind, they even calculated having 4 or 5 children to make a big family. Okay. And there are men out there who want the exact same thing, and they're going to gravitate to that type of woman. And hopefully that type of woman gets herself a good husband that is able to provide for those children instead of popping them out. And notice I did say husband. Okay, so that they can build that family union, and they can homeschool their children and do all of those things and those children will be very well rounded. Okay, having both the parents, you know, there in the home, be well educated, and things work out for them. But there are others as well. There are others who might not want a family right now. Okay, there are others who, you know, are bringing in a certain amount of income and might be looking for a partner to match that income, because maybe for what works for that man is building a dynasty, building business. Maybe he's looking for a power couple. And the man like that, 9 times out of 10, is going to look for a woman that he feels is going to match his needs. I think it is important in this day and age to stop judging with these antiquated ideologies, okay? Because some of the things that we have witnessed our grandparents do, our great-grandparents do, may have been out of necessity as opposed to something that they wanted to do. So when we compare, and say, there was an example that was used, and the woman that said this video, that was talking on this video, is saying that, in her days when she watched her grandparents, the grandfather, would come in, he would lay down the law, and the mother wouldn't say too much, but just go, because it was power in her silence. Excuse me. Her grandmother wouldn't openly challenge anything. Her grandmother, if he had a long day at work, would know when there was a time and a place to approach an issue. Okay, so she pretty much walked on eggshells to try to fill out his mood if he was able to handle a crisis. But I want you to think about something. While she's filling out, and tiptoeing around the crisis around him, because she doesn't know where he's going to be emotionally or physically tired, this is still a crisis that she had to deal with all day on her own, okay, and still manage to get everything else done. So here we go again with purporting that we have to coddle, to these men. We have to coddle to these men. We can't speak up when we need to speak up, because if so, then, you could possibly lose him. Now, that may have been a fear back then, okay? There may have been a fear back then, and there may have been a necessary trait to adapt to. During that time, we also got to keep in a reminder that a lot of our great-grandparents and great-grandmothers and stuff like that were heavily dependent on their husband for survival, okay? Now, they didn't work, and sometimes, and there wasn't a lot of jobs out there for women, So this thing has been passed down that the women, don't work and stay home. So if you don't want to lose your husband, you don't want to challenge him, because to do that is to destroy the family completely. I can actually remember having instances where, I was dealing with the elder women in my community in Philadelphia, and some of them had husbands that had a completely different family outside of their union. And they never left. They never left. And they put up with it. They took it. They allowed themselves to be walked on for the sake of the family, because that's where their security came. Okay, so, but in this day and age, there is independence. Okay, you can still have a life outside of your husband, and the husband can still have a life outside of his wife. You don't have to feel as if you do something wrong and he leaves you, your whole world is going to fall apart. Okay, because most women nowadays have, intelligence. They have careers. They have things that they can do, and they can survive. They can survive. So when we use these examples, we have to make sure that we're putting them in the proper context of that day and age and that time. Does not mean that these women were happy because they had long-lasting relationships. Most women were very unhappy in those relationships, and they put up with it because it was a mode for survival. Okay? So stop judging the modern woman based on the older generations, because it no longer applies. It no longer fits. Now, with that being said, because you yourself, or the woman that made this video, or any type of like-minded women that agrees with this video, maybe that's your path. Okay, maybe you lean to those things because that's what you have to offer. And that's fine. Okay, and because you will attract the men that need that from you, and you will go on and be happy. But it's not for you to judge women like me or other career-minded women who spend a lot of time on the road or a lot of time traveling, that is bringing something, to the husband, because, we're more career-oriented, and telling me that I'm less than a woman because I'm not doing those things. And the scare tactic, and I do cook, I do cook, but it's limited to certain days a week because I don't get home on time. You know, I get home late, and sometimes my husbands get home late. And so if we both getting home late, we'll just pick up something to eat. That's just how that goes. But we're still happy. You know, it's not a deal breaker for my husband for me not to be in the kitchen every day. That's not a deal breaker, because we're looking at a bigger picture. Okay, we're looking at a way broader perspective of life and a union, and what one another brings to the table, and how that union is supposed to be harmonious and balanced. That's what we're looking at. Okay. So we don't have those type of issues, but if that's all you have to offer, okay, because maybe you weren't the scholarly type, maybe you weren't the business minded type, maybe you didn't want any of that, you know, so you put your best foot forward and you attract what's equal to what you put out, and you live a good life doing that. And we're still going to applaud you because we're women, and we're supposed to be able to recognize the beauty and the godliness in each and every one of us. We're supposed to be able to recognize the woman in each and every one of us. We're not supposed to be here to say that I'm a better woman than you, or you're a better woman than me, because you do this and I only do that, or I don't do this and you do that. That's ridiculous. You don't all the time judge your men like that. And I know you don't, because a lot of you women, you know, are dealing with men who don't even have jobs. What if you made the standard that, you know, in order to be with you, you had to fit a certain criteria, and any man that did not fit that criteria is no longer a man? I mean, let's just do it across the board. You know, if we want to pinpoint things, you don't know how somebody else's life is went. You don't know if that man had a hard time finding a job. You know, you don't know if he had a disability. You don't know if he just got laid off. All you know is he don't have a job right now, you know. So I'm just saying, every woman is every woman. We're a part of a whole here, okay? And we're representing different aspects of the divine feminine. And you need to understand that. We are representing the queens, the maidens, the wives, the daughters, the mothers, the warriors, you know, all of that. We are representative of all of that. The nurturers, the healers, the educators, the scholars, you know. The divine feminine encompasses every last one of those roles. I'm just tired of being beat in the brow over these videos of men, you know, pushing onto other women because maybe they just can't handle a career-minded woman. I suppose if I was dating somebody that I thought was a little bit outside of my lane, that I might want them to lessen down. You know, I might want them to not outshine me, you know, because maybe it does something to the ego. But even if that is the case, you don't need to be promoting that. That's ridiculous. You don't need to be promoting that. And we like to say things like, oh, you know, women need to learn how to pick and choose their battles. But in the same breath, you say, you know, that the man comes in and throws down the law. So he already picked the battle. What you're trying to say is, I mean, you can't pick a battle that's already been chosen for you. So what you're trying to say is we need to either learn how to engage or concede. Okay? Engage in the battle or concede, because you can't pick a battle that was already picked for you. And a lot of these battles that we do have, it's not picked for us. I mean, it's already picked for us. So we're just simply going along with the phrase. So either we engage in it or we surrender. And with some women, it's best to surrender. With other women, it's best to engage. It all depends on the battle, you know, like we said. It is very, very important that each individual knows what they stand for before trying to find a relationship, before trying to get into a relationship. You need to know what you want out of life. Okay? You need to know where your goals are and what type of man you need to attract so that you can meet them. Logically, if you want to have a lot of children, you wouldn't want to marry a man that doesn't want any kids, right? And logically, if you are, career-minded, business-minded, then you wouldn't want to marry a man that wants to have a lot of kids, would you? And it does not mean that you're out of order if you don't want to have these children. It does not mean that some kind of way that you're wrong if you don't know how to cook. You can learn how to cook if you so choose to. If you don't choose to, then find somebody that doesn't care about that. Go rich. Get a personal chef. You know what I mean? This whole purpose is to just be happy and stop beating other women up. Stop doing that because it makes you look foolish. Okay? Especially if you're doing this to get likes, or especially if you're doing this to get approval from men, then it's kind of a thirst trap. I'm just saying. Other than that, women, love each other and love yourself. And with that being said, I'm out. Thank you.